Russian TV shows the same pictures, but tells a very different story. Here, what Russia 24 calls the staged chemical attack on Khan Sheikhoun a year ago. Pictures faked in a studio run by terrorists, they say, just as they say happened last Saturday night. As the top brass inside the Kremlin ready their response to President Trump's next move, outside it's flowers and Easter fanfare. The clock ticking down to Russia's World Cup. But if President Putin was hoping to freshen up Russia's image before the Games, events in Salisbury have changed that. In the Foreign Ministry this week, a room full of men expelled from their postings, as though the phone line to Moscow from 32 countries has suddenly gone dead.
We will never cave in to an ultimatum. It is not the language that should be spoken to the Russian Federation.
Russia is aggrieved and indignant. It denies any hand in the Skripal's poisoning and argues it is backing the legitimate government in Syria. And it resents the fresh round of US sanctions, which have pounded the ruble and Russian stocks. One of President Putin's key advisors, Vladislav Surkov, wrote an article this week in which he said that Russia's centuries-long quest to get along with the West was over, ready for 100 years, maybe more, of geopolitical solitude. And one of the dangers there, especially with lines of dialogue shutting down, is that isolation and go hand in hand.
In contra.
Which is why Syria has such great power flashpoint potential, more dangerous now than during the Cuban Missile Crisis, says the dean of one of Moscow's top politics institutes.
And we know that it's our obligation, not only in terms of Russian national interests, but in terms of our role in the humanity to keep our partners at bay, to deter them, because otherwise they became wild.
Is it Russia's role in humanity to condone a regime
to keep the West at bay?
A
state TV tracks the movement of US warships through the Mediterranean. Russia views itself as on the defensive, awaiting the American aggressor's next move. All of which feeds an internal insecurity, which analysts say the West fails to recognize.
Many Russian officials, and Putin included, genuinely believe that the West is out to get Russia, that Russia is under siege. And these developments only feed into that belief. They are used for domestic propaganda, and they reinforce this assumption that we must somehow fight back. And that's a very dangerous thing.
For labourers working on Moscow's Luzhniki Stadium ahead of this summer's World Cup, tensions over Syria seem a world away. The tournament will add some splendour to Russia's isolation, but how long can that last? And there's still 2 months to go before it begins. A lot can change in that time. Diana Magnay, Sky News, Moscow.